Hey guys, it's Jade. It's sort of beautiful. I'm back with my second vlog of Game of Thrones. This one will be discussing the season 6 finale, which was The Winds of Winter. I love the episode. It was probably tied between this one and the Battle of the Bastards for me. As the best episode of the season. Now, there's a whole lot to discuss for this episode, so I will be breaking it up into two parts because I don't want to get one video long too much longer. It'll be too long if I try to discuss everything in one video. So let's get started. We start out in the Red Keep in King's Landing. Everybody's getting dressed. Tom and Marjorie, Cersei, to prepare for the trials at the Great Sept of Baelor. Today, Loras Tyrell and the Queen Regent Cersei will be having their trials by the seven to discuss their sins and punishment and yada yada yada. We go over to the Sept and we see Lancel's trial, where basically he renounces his throne. Well, not his throne, I'm sorry. He renounces his titles and land, so he can't inherit anymore. He can't have, well, he can have kids, but it won't mean anything. And he does pledge to serve the seven, which the High Sparrow has his goon carves the seven-pointed star into his forehead. And Marjorie's like, hold up, you said that you would be merciful, and the High Sparrow says this is merciful. It's basically saying he could have been this, he could have been dead, so or whatever. And then Cersei's trial is supposed to be next, but she's nowhere to be found. She's still at the Red Keep, and Tommen gets up to prepare to go over to the Sept, and he's stopped by the Franken Mountain. Now, at this point, I'm not sure what's about to happen. I'm thinking maybe Cersei is tired of his shenanigans, and is just gonna go ahead and get rid of him now, because she is worried about this prophecy. She pretty much believes in the prophecy that all her kids are gonna die anyway, and I, to me, that's just something Cersei would do at this point, especially after Tommen pulled that stunt where he outlawed the trial by combat, which is basically spitting in his own mother's face. Now, I get that he was trying to, I guess, solidify his alliance with the High Sparrow, and after that scene before where they came to get Cersei, it was clear that she was gonna win her trial, and High Sparrow probably wasn't even trying to have that. So, but he stopped by Franken Mountain, but not for the reason that I originally thought. And we go back over to the Sept where the High Sparrow has dispatched his goons to go and get Cersei, since she's not there yet. And Lancel and two more of the what do you call them? The sparrows. I forget what they're called in the book, but they have like a name for their little sparrow militia. And he sees this little suspicious kid out, and he begins to follow him. I don't know exactly what prompted him to follow this child when he was supposed to be going to the Red Keep to get Cersei, which was funny also to me. Just for the simple fact that the last time the High Sparrow dispatched somebody to go and get Cersei from the Red Keep, it didn't end well for them. I mean, the Franken Mountain clean ripped somebody's head off their body, so I don't understand why they thought the result was going to be anything different than what they got the first time. But anyway, so Lance was following this little kid, and it cuts to a scene of Pycelle. And basically, this is the scene where they take Pycelle out. Now, I'm surprised that he lasted as long as he did in the series, or the books to be, for that matter. And he is basically killed by Varys's little birds. And this is also the episode we figure out what their secret was. I was wondering why they decided to kill Pycelle in that fashion. But I actually just reread A Dance with Dragons, and that's, from all indications point to, that's pretty much how he died in the book. The circumstances are different, but yes, the little birds do kill Pycelle. So, so Pycelle is basically taken out. And then you cut back to Lancel, and he's following this little kid like under the tunnels of the Great Sept of Baelor. And then out of the darkness, this kid comes and like shanks him in the back to the point where Lancel can't get up and walk anymore. He has to crawl, and the kid runs off down the hallway, and Lancel looks and he sees this faint green glow in the distance with candles sitting in it. And this is when I pretty much lost my shit, because I knew what was about to happen. I saw that green glow and I was like, oh my God. I was literally in here like, oh snap, because I had completely forgot, guys, and I actually too just rewatching the Battle of the Bastards, it was Battle of the Bastards, I think, where Tyrion mentions this, but of course I wasn't paying attention during. But I had completely forgot. In the books and of course the series, they mentioned how the Mad King Aerys had caches of wildfire stashed under all the buildings, the great buildings in King's Landing, the Red Keep, the Great Sept of Baelor. There are other ones, but I can't remember the names right now. But basically, he had these caches of wildfire all over, hidden under the city. So when he was ready to blow shit up, it was just gonna go boom. And this, ladies and gentlemen, was the little bird's secret, that yes, the wildfire was under there. It was still there. All of that wildfire that was hidden is still there. So Lancel is crawling towards the wildfire. He's trying to get this candle blown out before it hits the wildfire and blows everything to hell. But of course, Lancel does not make it in time, guys. And you can basically see the death reflecting in his eyes, the green just glowing in his own pupils, and the candle lights, and boom, blown up. Everything is gone, done. And then it cuts back to the people actually on top of the sept, like in the sept where the trial was going on. And by this time, Margaery had figured out that something is wrong. Cersei and Tommen is not here. She was telling the High Sparrow, Cersei understands the consequences of not being here, and she chose not to be here anyway. Something's going on. We got to get out of here. She's trying to break out. The High Sparrow has his goons stop everybody from going. And then he hears that rumbling of the wildfire just catching throughout the sept, and you can see the moment of realization and clarity on his face that he done messed up big time. He is really messed up. And no sooner than you see that look on his face and he's gone. I mean, he is completely and utterly and totally obliterated, as well as everybody else that was in the Great Sept of Baelor. And you cut back to Cersei, and she is just skinning and grinning, drinking her wine at the Red Keep as the Great Sept of Baelor crumbles before her eyes. And that's why I printed out this picture. It was a funny meme. And it's her looking. It says, "No, I did not go to the trial at the Great Sept of Baelor, but I heard it was lit." Y'all, I'm telling you, I cackled when I saw that. So I had to print it out and put it in my journal. Now, during this, you see Cersei looking on, and then it cuts to Tommen, and he's looking on at basically the devastation that just happened. And basically, he's devastated because he just lost everything in one fell swoop. His wife is gone. In the books, he really loves his brother-in-law, Loras, because Loras had started teaching him kind of how to be a knight and to joust and all that kind of stuff. And Cersei wasn't going for that in the book. She didn't like that at all. But, so he kind of idolized Loras. And then, not to mention his new alliance with the High Sparrow and all of his goons. All of that gone, obliterated, decimated. It is no more, thanks to his mother. So Tommen takes his crown off, walks swiftly to the window, and straight, smooth criminal leans, copyright Lovey, out of the window and kills himself. I was like, really, Tommen? Now look, I expected Tommen to go this season. I did not expect him to go in that fashion. I was not expecting the suicide. Again, this is a big moment. This was a shocker for me. But I'm not surprised that Tommen is gone, simply because Tommen is entirely too sweet and sensitive a kid for this here Game of Thrones. He was entirely too malleable. Anybody who whispered anything in his ear, he was gonna do. He was gonna follow. He went whichever way the wind blew. And you can't be like that trying to be a king. Now, he was thrust into this position after his brother was basically murdered. But he didn't have it in him to be a king. So I'm not surprised that Tommen is gone. I'm a little surprised in the way he's gone. I will say I'm not advocating suicide, guys, but I do respect that this was the way he went, only for the simple fact that this seemed to be the only decision he ever made for himself, that the only decision that was completely and totally his decision and his decision alone. So later Cersei is told about Tommen's suicide, and she is pretty much kind of cold-hearted about it at this. She knows the prophecy has come true, and she just tells him to burn his body and put it with the ashes over at the Great Sept, because he deserves to be with his brother, sister, and grandfather. So at this point, Cersei can do whatever the hell she wants. She has nothing holding her back. She doesn't have to worry about her kids' safety or what alliances need to be made to keep her kids safe and yada, yada, yada. So Cersei can get out here and do whatever she wants. Now, after that Great Sept of Baelor stunt, I don't like Cersei. I have never, ever, ever liked Cersei. Not from the beginning, never I liked Cersei. However, I respect the hell out of her for that move. I mean, that was the boss's ass boss move that has been made in the Game of Thrones to date. So kudos to you, Cersei. I mean, she took out all of her enemies in one fell swoop. You got Mace Tyrell gone, Marjorie Tyrell gone, Loras Tyrell gone, and her uncle Kevin Lannister gone, who she didn't quite trust either. Now, in the books, Cersei is like super paranoid, guys. And all of the alliances and friendships and things that her relationships that her father had fostered and cultivated to keep King's Landing going and the Lannisters on top of everything. Cersei basically just went and undid all of that in the book. She, I mean, like I said, she's super paranoid. She don't like nobody. The Tyrells, her uncles, nobody. So she completely alienates everybody. So that's that, you know. And then you see her basically torturing Septa Unella. I'm curious as to how they isolated Septa Unella from all the other goons with the faith at the High Sparrow, how they got her by herself so she can be tortured. But whatever, that's what happened. And Septa Unella thinks she's gonna kill her. She's, oh no, you're gonna be here for a while. We're gonna take care of you for a while, and take care of you doesn't mean what you think it means. So you leave. Cersei leaves out of that room saying, "Shame, shame, shame." Poetic justice, guys. A lot of poetic justice going on in this season. And the Franken Mountain is about to do something to Septa Unella. I don't even want to imagine what that is. I'm glad they closed the door and left that where it was when they did. So then we head out over to the Riverlands, over where the Twins is, and River Run, and you know where Hoster Tully's, Catelyn's father's seat was, and the Freys, who have taken over River Run ever since the Red Wedding and their alliance with the Lannisters. But they have lost River Run when the Blackfish, Hoster Tully's younger brother, comes back and reclaims his home from the Freys, and the Lannisters, Jaime and his squad shows up and is coming to negotiate and retake River Run for the Freys, which he manages to do successfully by using Edmure Tully, which is the Blackfish's nephew, Catelyn Stark's brother. He's concerned for his baby boy, so he makes his men stand down, basically. And so the Freys retake River Run, and Jaime and Frey are back at the Twins, and they're celebrating this victory and yada yada yada. And Walder Frey's old crotchety ass, of course, is running his mouth and basically telling Jaime, oh, well, we're both kinslayers now. So he's relaying himself to Jaime. And I think Jaime takes great offense to being compared and with Walder Frey, or being, saying that they're the same. I don't think Jaime ever really in his heart wanted to be known or be a Kingslayer. But there was something that I remember him telling Catelyn Stark seasons ago, that, a person of the King's Guard is required to take all of these oaths, oaths to protect the people, oaths to protect the king, and so on and so forth. But if you have a king that is basically insane and torturing and killing people with no just cause, who do you protect? What oath do you break? Like, what vow gets broken? Because you can't keep all of them if you're going to do something about anything. So I understand his point. And I really do also think Brienne had a great effect on Jaime and his disposition, and how he sees some things in the world now. So I think he was not happy to be compared to Frey. So he gets upset with him, and he says, well, what battles have you won when you were younger? What have you contributed to anything that's going on? And Walter's like, oh, well, you can mock me. Everybody's always mocked me, and yada, yada, yada. And finally, Jaime gets fed up with bullshit and just basically tells him, well, what good are you? If the Lannisters have to come back every time that you guys lose River Run and retake it for you, then what the hell good is this alliance? Good point, Jaime. Good point. What is the point of the alliance? I mean, we know why it started, but what's the point in keeping it now? But anyway, so that is pretty much where I'm going to end it this video, guys. So I'll be back next time with the other half of the show. I will probably after that do a separate vlog just discussing the big moments that happened in season 6 and the prophecies and theories that I personally have regarding what may happen in season 7. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.